Justice. I am your host, Kimberly Trapani, and it is my pleasure to welcome KryS Cameron, that head Simply Me TV. Welcome, KryS.
Thank you for having me, Kimberly. Good to be here.
I appreciate you coming on, and you and I have been collaborating a little bit. Can you tell me about your organization, Simply Me TV?
Yes, so Simply Me started out as a distribution company many years ago, basically back in the year 2001. And our main focus was in being able to work with cable companies and bring in smaller organizations that were looking to start their own cable channels. So it started with Dish Network out of Denver, Colorado, and then it went to Verizon, DirecTV, I mean, Comcast, you name it. So as a result of that, 43 networks later, we've been successful at distributing those companies over cable.
You have quite the bio, and we're going to get into it. Tell me a little bit about NASCAR.
About Navstar. So
NASCAR.
NASCAR, okay, great. So we do have our own team, and he's actually going to be racing in 2024. We're looking forward to getting him out there once again. And I'll give you a short story on that. So what happened was we were actually, uh, I got a phone call from NASCAR, and they needed some marketing assistance. And quite honestly, what they were asking for was quite boring. So I was like, oh, okay, And then one of the owners that actually owned the team, he asked me a question. He says, with what's going on right now in the circuit, we could really, there's some guys out there that could really, use, use your assistance. I said, well, from what perspective? Well, he said, well, basically for marketing as well. I said individual drivers. He said, yeah, and people that are trying to get into NASCAR. And I said, well, hold a minute. So we kept talking about it. I had no idea who he had in mind. And as we kept talking, he says to me, you know, how interested are you really in seeing someone successful in NASCAR? I said, well, I'm looking forward to seeing everyone successful in NASCAR as long as they can get in. And then he says to me, well, how would you like to, get one of them in? And I said, well, what do you mean by one of them? So as we kept talking, and it's so funny, it's so funny you started off with NASCAR. Um, Primarily because we've been working on an apparatus for next year because we're actually going to be doing a reality TV series, and it's going to actually feature NASCAR drivers. So so what we did was we said to this one guy who we spoke to, and I had no clue what I was getting myself into in the beginning, and he says, "Well, listen." His name is Mark Lowry. And I said, Mark Lowry. I said, I did some research on that guy a little while ago, and he was the first African American racer to win a dirt race out of Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Wow, that's
So
amazing.
yeah, yeah. So we use that cachet, and we said, okay, great. Let's see if we can get him into NASCAR. So NASCAR folks said, okay, he can come to the tryout. So we had his car ready and everything, got him to the tryouts, and the judges were blown away by him. And ever since then, he's been on the NASCAR circuit. So his name is Mark Lowry. Yeah, 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 definitely.
That's amazing, and very, very intrigued, KryS. I started out in NASCAR because there's a song out there, "I'm Coming Hard" by NASCAR, and so
Yep.
I had visions of asking you that first. And uh, can you tell me about? You have 25 years of management and technical experiences. Is this experience how you started your company?
So I started my company. Simply Me was started in 2001, and prior to that, I had a company called Simply TV. And so Simply TV was a company that we started at the Empire State Building in Manhattan. We had about 2 floors. In the end, we had about close to 200 employees, and the main focus was to start the world's first online interactive television network. So the technology for it was actually developed in 1996, and then we launched it in 1997.
That's
So,
amazing. And in Manhattan too, and all of
yeah,
the things that happen over time with digital
yep.
and that kind of thing. Can you tell me about, do you believe that digital media is the way of the world, or is it more cable?
I think digital media is going in that direction because cable is trying to figure out a way to stay in business. So cable has no choice but to get on the bandwagon, which is what they're doing. What they've been doing, as a matter of fact, a lot of the companies they've actually increased their technical developments. As we know, Verizon is not really a media company. Verizon is a technology company, for instance. So they've really been on the cutting edge of a lot of technical things that they've been doing. Comcast, on the other hand, is a media company, but now they have a new division at Comcast, which is specifically focused on technology, creating apps, and making sure that customers that come their way can pretty much get a quality of service that's all in the digital domain. So yes, everything is going digital. Cable companies are going digital. They have no choice. If they get left behind, the only infrastructure that they have left are the cable lines that are outside.
And can we get a little bit into your Simply Me TV, your distribution side? Tell me about that a
Okay,
little bit,
so
what you do.
So, on Simply Me, what we do here is we give companies the opportunity to express themselves, and that can be from the perspective of creating one channel on Comcast to creating a full network that goes nationwide over just about any platform they can think of. Recently, we got into the OTT space where we would just take their content, we would encode it, we would put it on what's called a CDN, basically, which is just another way of saying, it's a huge hard drive in the cloud world, and then we will connect their video to the back end of those pages on OTT, whether it's Roku, Apple TV, or Amazon Fire. But from the perspective of cable, it's pretty similar now too. Where we will just come in, we do all the ingestions for them, set up, make sure the graphics are right and everything. We run the test for about a week, and then they're ready to rock and roll. So from a simply me or simply TV perspective, as far as getting channels up and operational, we're sort of like a one-stop shop where we kind of do it all for them. So yes.
Fabulous. And I've been in business with filming for 10 years and broadcasting, and have appeared on my own shows and have
Hmm.
had been a lead in TV. And I'm just curious a little bit about, I met with the NFL sound engineers, and they were talking about compliance and not being able to swear on cable networks and things. Is there content that our amateur audience should know about before they jump in to showing their own content? Is there anything that they should think about not including or excluding in their content before it goes to you as a distribution company?
So normally, and I'll give you one example. So if you remember the show Shark Tank, so the cast there, Mark Cuban and those guys, they're doing a fantastic job doing Shark Tank, so on and so forth. So one of the guys from Fubu contacted me, and he said that, well, we would like to do our own network. I said no problem. So make a long story short, they provided me with the content, but then I noticed based upon the subject matter and some of the words that were being used in the content itself, I said, well, if you guys would like to get a G rating from the advertising agencies, it's best it's best that you maintain a G rating when it comes to your actual content. So what they did was they put together an apparatus of content that will be for that would have a rating of, let's say, rated R, that would actually be on the outside of cable. And then what they had for cable was actually specifically audio edited for that G rating, which in turn got them advertising. So I always tell people that even on Comcast, you can put a rating on something and it's okay as long as the audience knows what they're about to get because it's VOD. But if you want to get advertising dollars, it's best that you take it out altogether if you want to make money.
Absolutely and definitely. And I had asked those sound engineers what the worst thing they ever heard of during the NFL games. And it wasn't the F bombs, it was that a NFL player was in the locker room telling his friend that he contracted a sexually transmitted disease from his girlfriend, and that kind of played live, and they got that content. So yeah, we should always just be not hold a disclaimer, but be conscious of what we're putting out there and who is viewing it. Now,
Exactly.
tell
Exactly.
me about durations and the content that you've been looking for. I know you have different versions. There's shorts, there's 10-second commercials, there's
Yep.
long full-length feature films. What do you tend for durations to look for when you're picking up someone's project?
So on the duration side, if you look at cable the way it is right now, it's getting back to that wild wild west mentality where if it sticks, keep it playing. So I've seen anything from a minimum of about 12 to 15 minutes on up to about 40 minutes as far as features are concerned. Anything that's episodic. Then as far as like movies are concerned, short movies, definitely. For the cable side. When it comes to longer form movies, I often tell people that it's best that you take excerpts from what you have, put it up on social media to let people know that they can actually tune in to watch this on, let's say, a Verizon or a Comcast or whatever. So that way the audience knows what they're getting ready for. And then once it's actually there for them to see, especially if it's longer form than let's say an hour or so, then of course more than likely, because of their interest, they'll be able to watch it. And of course, as far as the analytics are concerned, that's something that's very powerful that can be sold to advertising agencies. On the other hand.
Absolutely. And you have a slate of music companies you worked with, like Arista and Sony, just to name a few. Can you tell me about the music side of your business?
Okay, so on the music side, we've worked with radio from Sirius Satellite, from Fubu to Sirius Satellite, because Fubu Radio has their own radio station, things in each right now. And I've also worked with Beyonce's father, Mr. Knowles, in regards to the Sirius Satellite side. So to make a long story short, as far as music is concerned per se, when folks come to us with music projects, I often tell them, I say, listen, guys, if you guys have a music video that can go along with that, then we can actually put this into a particular program with some that actually features music videos for particular channels that might be running over Comcast or some of the other OTT based networks.
Absolutely. And is there a specific genre that you would frown upon? I know Eminem made a comment about not liking mumble rap. Is there specific genres, Chris, that you tend to stay away from?
I pretty much stay away from things that would degenerate, this makes someone feel bad, depressed, things that would just downgrade the human side of us. So I'm not really into that. It's all about trying to be positive, stay positive, because in the times we're living in right now, it's like we're just a couple of seconds in God's eyes when you think about it. So it's like, would you rather have someone listening to something that's going to further put them down a rabbit hole, or would you rather give them something that's going to uplift them? And there's all kinds of music in all kinds of genres that can actually do that. From country to even hip hop. So, but I think it's important, that we have to start thinking more about people than thinking about our bottom lines.
That is true, and lifting our spirit. And I've worked with the drug recovery epidemic. I deliver horrible news on human trafficking.
Mhm.
We've worked with people in Congress to change laws and make things more positive, and lifting people up and being positive and sending messages of hope and wellness and peace and being kind is something that's going to be much more attractive in film and music than this negativity. We hear enough of it in the
Yeah,
news. We hear enough of it in commentary.
that's true.
Is there one content or project you've worked for a long time in film and music and with the best in the industry. Is there one project that you would say, wow, I need to pick that up right away? Can you think of something, a topic, or something unique that you would want to pick up for your distribution company?
Oh, that's a good one because there's actually quite a few. And recently we had done a deal with a major studio for the movie Surrounded, and we were actually able to work with the distributor and being able to market it, and it was very successful. And what I liked about the movie, besides the soundtrack, is the fact that the movie was really its core had a lot to do with race relations. The gunfighting, so on and so forth. It's like, yeah, okay, we get all of that. Because you got to build a storyline, but in the end, you want to tell the story in such a way that people can actually learn something from what it is they're watching. So that kind of did it for me. And then there's actually another piece that I recently, well, I didn't recently acquire, but I acquired um, a few years back, and only because it actually celebrates humanity.
Right.
Hopefully you can see me. Okay, great. Here we go. So the one was it's called The Man Who Knew Infinity. I just love that movie, because it really takes someone who didn't really have much, but he showed what he had up here, and it had a lot to do with how that celebrated humanity from the perspective of, yes, we can do anything we want if we put our minds to it. If you put your mind to something, then that means that your heart is also involved. Then that means that you're self motivated to make something happen, not just for yourself, but to benefit other people too. So I always look for movies like that. Pele is also one of my favorite ones. Um, you know, Movies like that really touch my heart, and really gets me to see the humanity, and what a person is really all about. What's their desire? How did they end up being successful? Was their success a result of their happiness, or was their happiness a result of their success? And sometimes we have to think hard about that. It's like, so if you're successful and you're happy at what you do, then you can continually have happiness. And that's the difference between being happy for 15 minutes and having joy forever. Because when someone's joyful, they know the end result, knowing that whatever they go through, then they're going to always have that joy because they know at the end of the road, there's going to be something there waiting for them that could actually benefit a lot more people. And this is what it's all about.
It's amazing how when I went to Full Sail University, I studied brand awareness and what does Simply Me distribution mean to you?
So, what it means for me, quite honestly, because I know our last moniker was in the know and on demand. And so we wanted people to always be in the know, and what we showcased very early in the game was content that was built around inspirational content that was actually built around do-it-yourself types of activities, whether in the home or in the garden, things that would show them different parts of the world, like travel, you know, cooking, anything that would actually raise the human bar. I mean, forget about business, forget about money. Let's talk about the human being. Let's talk about you. What is it that's going to keep you going? So create a bunch of subjects and the content to come up against that and then provide that. And we've done so many studies. As a matter of fact, we did one study at Denver International Airport for about 2 years straight on 239 kiosks. And that's all we put up there was DIY content, feel good content, cooking content, travel content, different at the different gates. And the people's response to that was very, very high. So as a result,
Absolutely and
yeah,
definitely. And in those airports, those messages might be a different audience than maybe a full stream digital movie
right.
that we're putting out there as well in the content. We're going to cut to commercial break, but when we come back, we're going to talk more about the awards that KryS Cameron has. I am Kimberly Trapani from All Consuming Filming, the executive producer of a movie company in partnership with Chuck Artizone. And today I am in Amazing Pieces in New York. And I have Amy. Amy is an amazing owner, and we are excited because we have jewelry and hats and scarves. And Amy, can you tell me a little bit about your company?
Okay, well, I love to make everybody happy. So what I do is I follow a lot of reality television. So whatever they have, I get for a lot less. For example, who loves my delicious slippers? I have them in all colors and different styles. And as you see, Kim is wearing a cashmere scarf with a beautiful red hat because yes, she is blessed. And then Kim, where are those gloves? There they are.
And we have jewelry over here and bracelets and gold and silver and some headbands. This is a very nice piece right here. And we have water bottles. And this one says blessed.
Wherever you touch, it's blessed, Kim.
And over here, there's Pocketbox. Look at, we have Prada. And I love this little purse, Amy. It's so cute.
I have it in other colors as well. I get things on the daily. I get lots of goodies on the daily. So this is just a little video of what my stock is, but you can follow me at AMYZING Pieces and come over here. I have the best hoop. There it is.
Oh, these are beautiful.
Hoops.
And if you want the hoops, you can DM Amy, and her last name is BERNABEO, and she is on Facebook and Instagram. And also, we're going to have Amy live on my show in the future. I'll keep you posted on that. Also, Amy has these amazing pocketbooks. These are good for travel and going to airports. And there's more, Amy.
I make a lot of one-of-a-kind pieces. So again, look on Amazing Pieces. That's my Instagram for all of my drops. I've got sweaters, flannels. I've got, come follow me.
Oh, I love this purse. Isn't this so cute?
Wait, please follow me. I have, hold on, follow me over here. I have sports, New York Jets, Islanders, Rangers. Again, look for me, Amazing Pieces.
And you can catch Amy in the future on my show, X-Raged No Justice Season 3, and you can reach out to us in All Consuming Filming. You can see us live all over the world. We are a global show, and I would love for you to have an accessory from Amy. Have a great day. We're back with Chris Cameron, and we are talking about Simply Me and brand awareness. And welcome back, Chris.
All right.
So you have awards, and which award most impressed you?
I was actually put on a nominating block for a Grammy, for an Emmy, and then later on, there was a very wealthy family that saw what I was doing when I was establishing Simply TV, and it was a Nobel Prize, and I was trying to get the connection, and they sat me down one day and they said, well, it's because you're not thinking about yourself. You're not thinking about your pockets. We've noticed that you even own just 10% of your corporation because you want to see this work. and you're not really concerned about money. And I said, yeah, you're right. I'm really not. I could care less about it. My main focus, I really want to get this out to the masses. And then they said to me that you seem to be really about people. I said, well, first of all, I love people. I just love people, period. And then I got the nomination for that Nobel, and that was probably the most touching thing for me personally, because all the other awards basically just meant that you did something for someone to feel good about for a few minutes. But when you look at a Nobel, it's like, well, you're doing something that's going to actually benefit humanity in the end, if they don't turn it into the atom bomb. So I was like, great. So I at that yeah, that was the one for me.
Wow, that's amazing. And I talk a lot about humanism, and I was a travel agent during 911, saw that crisis, and then having to do human trafficking and child crimes and violence. And this week being Israel. And we have to get back to, uh, you mentioned learning from our stories and our content that we're putting out there in music and film. Can you think of a really good project that you were just very excited about? Wow, that went out all out to meet the criteria of the humanism con and was clear and concise about their messages. What project? What was your
At,
favorite?
actually, that project was in Israel. Believe it or not, it was in Israel. I was actually welcome to come to Israel to sit down with their technical people to speak with them in regards to a pipeline that they wanted to run into Israel, and that was back in 1999. And that pipeline was primarily for the dissemination of digital media. So I went down there, I sat with these folks. I'm not sure if you still hear me, but yeah, I went down there, I sat down with these folks, and they showed me what they wanted to do. And so I worked a little bit with the architectural team in relation to how to architect a plan of action for this project. And they were successful at raising the monies necessary for it. And they were the first company to raise $1 billion in their first round of financing for this project. And so it was very successful. And they finally got that pipeline through a few years later. So yeah, that was a.
Wow, that's
And
amazing.
and as a result of that, this ring was actually made for me. When I'm not if you can see it, but this ring, it's like an eye. So on both sides, it represents the eye in the middle. Of course, the eye itself. Yeah, that was made for me while I was in Israel. Just to thank you.
Yeah, I saw a picture of an eye with the flag. It
Hmm.
kind of, I sat there and looked at it for a few minutes and trying to interpret it and think about messages to send for Israel right now. And with the emergency going on and that kind of thing, there are no words. What kind of messages would you send in the times that we have through your content, whether it be music or film? What kind of messages would you send out globally?
Um, Quite honestly, messages of hope, messages of love, messages of humanity, unity, because a lot of that only exists, when people fight for it. And you shouldn't have to fight for that. Human beings shouldn't have to fight another human being just to have peace. There's another way around it, and we pretty much have to just get down to brass tacks and really understand. For every cause, there's going to be an effect. So why would we want something to effectively come out a bad way when we have choice? Animals don't have choice. They're working off of instinct. We have choice, and we have power to use that, and we should be using it.
Absolutely. And you went into it before commercial, and let's just go into it again. What kind of content are you looking for, and how are you distributing it to the world?
So the type of content that we're looking for has a lot to do with the people that are bringing the content. So for argument's sake, it's not about what we're looking for. It's about how we can get that content provider to be successful in the distribution of that content over whatever systems we negotiate to put them over. So sometimes someone will come to us, with a movie, and they're like, okay, well, I got it on YouTube already. So no, no. I said, okay, now I need to get you to understand how this business really works. So it's like first of all, you're doing it all wrong. Take all your content off of YouTube. The only thing you use YouTube for is the promotions. Period. You're directing someone to actually watch something we can actually make monies off of, whether it's going to be advertising or pay-per-view. So what we're looking for as far as content has a lot to do with making sure that the content provider understands the business first. And then secondly, based on what they have, you know, then we can actually put it out as long as it meets a certain criteria as far as making money goes. And that goes vis-a-vis understanding the business itself. So if they understand the business from a semantics perspective, then they're not going to have any problems being successful with us. So yeah, I'm really open to just about anything out there, but nothing negative because you know there's a lot of negative out there. Go here, go there, go to TikTok, go to some of these other
Perfect.
platforms and stuff like that. So yeah.
Absolutely and definitely. And what is your specific criteria? If someone wanted to come to you and say, I have this amazing idea, I want to sell helicopters and I want to make a movie about a helicopter to sell it. What would you tell someone like that? What is your specific criteria for your distribution company?
So I often tell people that even in the idea stages, that it's important that based upon your idea itself, you try to write it or script it in such a way that it's going to get the attention, of, let's say, an investor. It might be a producer, it might be an executive producer, it might be a studio, but it's important that, legally, whatever you're putting down in writing, that you legally make sure that it's protected first and foremost. Make sure you get it protected, and then don't talk a lot to anyone about what it is you're doing or looking to do or in the process of doing. Just get it done, and then when you're legally ready to represent it, you represent it in the proper light.
Absolutely. Copywriting and intellectual property matters. Absolutely. Understood. And can you tell me about what's next for you? What's in your future? How someone, I joke, KryS with a K, it's KRYS Cameron, would contact you?
Weird. Let's see here. And,
It is my pleasure to introduce Nisika Okosi, who has served America as a soldier. He is highly respected and has served America and has given back with his showers. I appreciate Okosi coming on the show today to talk about Israel, and welcome to X-Raged No Justice.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You've been on my show before, Kos, and I wanted to get you back on. And I had gotten some press comments on what's going on in Israel, but can you tell me about Israel in your own words?
Thank you so much. Israel has a long-standing relationship with the United States. We all know that. Israel had been a persecuted people with the Holocaust. We all know that. The Israel nation most of the time are being picked apart. and so much hatred directed to the nation worldwide. And I think if you are Jewish or have Jewish friends or Jewish blood, you definitely know that sometimes it's not fair how the world looks at this nation. And so we here in the United States have always been so pleased. Both parties had always be very much willing to provide that fraternity to the people of Israel and the Israel nation.
And I'd like to just read a little blurb from Tom Tillis, the U.S. Senator for North Carolina. He says in his press comment, babies have been beheaded, children have been kidnapped, women have been raped and dragged through the streets. And to be clear, there was absolutely no justification for this gruesome and unprovoked attack against civilians. Can you tell me, as a soldier, what your thoughts are on Israel?
Yeah, this looks pretty much premeditated the way it looks. The people of Israel, I think, were attacked brutally, and civilians were under seizure, under house to house. Just in line with that comment, to see unarmed civilians in a jubilation. They were having a celebration, a holiday, a party, most of them. Being dragged out and being, mutilated, and the evidence that has been gathered speaks loudly to the cross-border incident. I think it's an outrage. I think people of all faith, of good faith, ought to be able to condemn this and condemn it very strongly. And of course, I think everybody has one single opinion that Israel has the right to defend itself and to make sure that this would not happen to them in their country.
And you've served the country. My grandfather was a colonel. I know he's rolling over in his grave right now. We won't promote violence on any level in any country in America. What sets Americans apart from the rest of the world, and how can Americans help?
I think you can hear the rhetoric from both sides of the aisle. Reaction, either it's coming from Israel or from any other party. Americans are asking that the laws of war be upheld. A methodical reaction that is ongoing now in the Middle East follows international law. The initial attack did not follow that. Children were attacked, elderly were rolled out of a wheelchair and taken through brushes and either kidnapped or murdered outright. So America has that moral edge of wanting to do it right, wanting to respect international law, and there are a lot of efforts that can go on right here from America to both sides of the aisle. Protection as we speak. We have American volunteers already in Gaza that were already there to provide services, and they are trapped now. So that just tells you the American spirit. So in this time of great crisis, I think Israel as a nation definitely do have a moral right to protect the border and also to protect the unarmed citizenry against this sort of attack.
Is the president and Congress doing enough, or could they do more, costs?
I think has been echoed today by Secretary of State Blinken. I think he has emphasized that there is a coalescing of both sides of the aisle, the Republican Congress and also the Democrats coming together to say in one voice, we stand behind Israel. And they are not just saying talking the talk, they are walking the walk. We have a lot of supplies now en route to the region, and there is full force diplomatic effort to bring in some solution that could be amicable. So I think if the other side, the other party, the Palestinians were to want to come to the table as soon as possible and want to condemn the acts of, if in fact the Hamas were just isolated party, we would be able to see that leadership. That leadership is not present as we speak, and
Mhm.
therefore Israel has to do all they can to protect their citizenry. I think any nation would, and Israel would not be an exception to that rule now.
And you know that I'm big on domestic violence and child sex crimes and violence as a whole, that I speak as an advocate for America, that we would never condone violence of anyone in any country. Can you tell me in your own words, Class, being a serving the country as a federal soldier, what you would say to the people that of Israel that are suffering right now?
I think that there is a great loss by the nation of Israel. Those who have been murdered, American citizens have also been murdered. More than 17 nations have individuals that have suffered, either been kidnapped or killed in the attack. And that is a lot of ramification for world stability. And so I would say there has to be a strong signal that you cannot just sneak in the middle of the night and then snatch civilians and cause this level of brutality. Whatever the point of disagreement may be, and we all are aware of some of the disagreements between both parties, I think there is still a place on the table that this can be resolved. Diplomatic means, and of course, nations to resolve this. I know that in the Middle East, there we have countries like Saudi Arabia, the Republic of Qatar, or the Emirates of Qatar, UAE, that definitely could bring a lot of mediation to some of the disagreements. So those are where efforts ought to be concentrated in, and not a sneak hit and run and egregious crimes that has been committed against the people of the Jewish people in Israel. So the point is to condemn this and to condemn it strongly. That this sort of action is not in line with world stability. Bad example.
Absolutely. And I've been collecting items and clothes for the organizations that are giving overseas to clothing and toiletries and all of that kind of thing. If someone wants to give toiletries and clothes, you can DM me. I'll get you to the right part. But Kasi, what can Americans do who can't necessarily do anything or feel helpless in America right now to help out with this crisis overseas? And what can they do, in your words?
The innocent families in the Jewish nation surely need support. They have lost. There is a whole family that has been murdered. There are children whose parents have been killed or kidnapped. Those are areas of assistance. I'm pretty sure that there are international donation organizations out there that are, effectively soliciting resources to be channeled to the Jewish nation. Get involved. Israel is a friendly nation to us here in the United States. Those who see this in the bad light that it is and condemn it, there is something to do. It's not just to sympathize, but to make tangible contribution, both cash and also in intangible goods that can be directed through those donor organizations, including probably a direct message to your program. I think it's a good thing to do. I think this is the time to identify with the sorrows that has been inflicted to that nation. I'm pretty sure that the people in Palestine, as has been said, is not every Palestinian who is a terrorist. A segment of that community of that country has brought this infliction to the entire nation. I'm pretty sure that there will be needs by the people of Palestine, and probably there are other organizations that will be lining up to be able to provide those sort of assistance. And I want to mention again that even American volunteers, aid volunteers, helpers, and the United Nations are caught up in this crosshair as we speak in Gaza Strip.
Kasi, I appreciate your service. You've served America. You've been an amazing friend and business colleague. You've given back to our country. I saluting you wouldn't be enough to show appreciation for what you've done for us. You're a physicist, you have degrees that are at the doctorate level. Can you tell America in the future what it might be that we should do on a local level to keep the peace and the love in this country? And can you leave us with some last words and quotes?
America is your country. It's a collective country, love of country. We are not born with love of country. We learn it somewhere along the line. If you've not learned it yet, you better. Uh, People from outside should not tell you to hate your country. If they do, they are not looking out for you. We ought to look out for ourselves. We gotta keep this 200 years of tradition and stand out as exceptional people. There are so many individuals who hate that jargon. Once you mentioned that it's like exceptional America, it doesn't go down well with everyone, and yet we remain exceptional. God bless all of us, and God bless the United States of America.
And God bless Israel. We are praying for you. Thank you, KryS, for your time and your service to this country. God bless to you. And we are praying around the world from America in upstate New York. And thank you for joining us, Kasi.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Huh.
Can you tell me how someone would contact you, KryS Cameron, and what's next in your future projects?
So they can get in contact with us at one. Let me see. I haven't used this 800 number in a long time. So it's 1-844-44-MY-VOD. 844-44-MY-VOD. That's our 800 number to our office. And email, you can always get to me at simplychris@simplyme.tv. And what was the second question?
What projects are we looking for? Where are we going to see you, your face, and your name? And what projects are yours? What's in your future?
We started an advertising agency called Ashton Media Group. Presently, we manage over 300,000 kiosks nationwide, from airports, of course, to subways. So we're doing that now as a key for content providers to market and promote their content. So, and it's a full service advertising agency. So we can develop ads, we can put the ads out, whether it's on OTT, cable, or the out of home side with 300,000 screens. But that's like we've been doing this now for about going on 4 years. So we're right there. And the last piece we did was for Harlem Week, in Manhattan, last year and this year, as far as marketing goes for Harlem Week. So yeah.
You're in airports and movies, cinemas, and with music production companies. Can you tell me about, before we wrap, what projects that you are most excited about for the future?
Oh wow! Future projects. Just got a phone call from Michael Jackson's attorneys from his estate. They're looking to put out a documentary. So their legal team and our legal team is kind of going over the logistics of that. So hopefully, in 2000, by September 2024, it'll be out. So yeah, that's one of our latest projects.
Yes, shout out to the Jackson family. I've
For
talked to a
sure.
couple of them this week. We also very dedicated to recovery from addiction and to spread that word. Is there
Definitely.
any charity of choice that you'd like to plug out or any shout?
I'm all about, like I said before, humanity. And I often tell people, if you want to learn about mental health and having hope for the future, so on and so forth, you can go to jw.org. And because that provides a lot of great information and a lot of things that can inspire you to be better because we're meant to be
That's
better.
jw.org.
That is correct.
And would you like to leave us with a quote?
Yes. And that quote is, keep being in the know and keep going on demand. Don't let anybody tell you that you have to watch this at a certain time, because that's what VOD was really all about. So that way you have to put media and things in nature on your schedule. You don't put your schedule on someone's demand for you to see something or to get inspired by something. So you have to actually create that inspiration for yourself.
Thank you, KryS Cameron. I appreciate your time. I
Quite welcome.
appreciate you being a film distribution company and doing advertisements. We have a lot of people in your corner right now that want to get their content out and change the world. And we are a global show, so you will be seen all over the world. And if you want to reach out to KryS, please do that. If you want to reach out to myself, I'll get your information to KryS Cameron. Appreciate your time, KryS Cameron. Have a great, amazing, wonderful day.
Likewise, and thank you so much for having me, Kimberly.
Thank you.
All right, sis. Take care now.